Hi there, Will here. And the other day, my mate David came up to me and said, "Do you want to see something cool?" And I said, "Sure thing, David," because David's always got cool things. David's like a camera dealer, and he knows all sorts of stuff about everything. And he bust out this weird little sheet holder looking thing. And I was like, "What on earth is that for?" And he said, "This is a Mamiya RB67 sheet film back." And I said, "What? I've never seen one that looked like that. I know they make like graph lock backs and things like that, but never this weird looking thing." And he said, "Well, go try it out." So here I am. I'm going to be shooting photographic paper through it, not negatives, because its aspect ratio, I'd have to cut down 4x5 sheet film to put in there, and it makes no sense to cut 4x5 into a medium format. So I'm going to give that a miss, but the paper negatives could be fun too. I mean, they will be fun. I've tested it out already. They're actually loads of fun. I reckon before we get going up here though, we'll head back home and I'll give you an overview of things there with an actual mic. I misspoke up there on the hill. I said you could use a graph lock back to shoot sheet film, and what I meant to say was you could use a Graflex adapter to use a Graflex back on an RB, I think, to shoot sheet film. This is one of those videos where I'm messing around with something that there isn't much information about online, so if I'm wrong about anything or I've missed out on something, please let me know in the comments, and then everyone can learn something as a result of your altruism. Anyway, this is a Mamiya Type J sheet film back. It's double-sided, like a normal large format sheet film negative holder would be, and is made entirely of plastic on the outside. The dark side is plastic. The outer bit is plastic, these little latch things are plastic, but inside it is a little steel bracket that you can mount your film to, and the mechanism itself that keeps the film flat, or pushes against the film at least, is also made of steel. Besides that, the observational, I don't really know much about it, besides that the other Mamiya sheet film holders I think can take 2¼ by 3¼ sheet film. And I'm not going to be shooting sheet film. I'm going to be shooting Berger Prestige RC1 photographic paper today and getting negatives out of that. And then via a process I learnt about on the Camera Dactyl YouTube channel, turning those paper negatives into direct positives with some chemicals, which is very fun. In today's episode of Will's Bootleg Darkroom Setup, my beanie is covering the DSLR's back screen, so hopefully nothing fogs because of that. Anyway, what I'm going to do here quick is cut some paper down to size. I've made this very rough sheet film back-sized piece of paper to just use as a template. It does fit in there properly after a bit of tinkering, and I'm going to cut the normal photographic paper down to the size of this little sheet film back template. You almost definitely can't see what it looks like on this thing, but this little holder has clips on it, and you clip the paper in there and in there, and then just slide it back into the holder like so. I struggle with these because I keep managing to line up that little cartridge into the actual dark slides path. Somehow I didn't do it there, but I'd be willing to bet that I'm about to do it with the second one now, but let me just get that out. I should mention that the effective ISO of this paper is 3 as well, by the way, so not particularly light sensitive, and thus the best thing one can photograph with it is still lifes. So that's what all my experiments have been so far, and that's what I'm going to continue doing. I might try a direct positive of a person out of interest, just to see how the skin renders mainly, but still lifes are the name of the game today. Still lifes and fun times with alternative 3 ISO processors, baby. Makes an impressive noise, doesn't it? Jesus! 5.6. So all I really need to do is pop the back off of the RB, plonk this one on here. Oh, I've got it loaded as if it's been shot, that's bad. Plonk this one on here. It only fits in upside down, so you have to pull the sheets out downward facing, but Not that big a deal. The light's actually quite bright here compared to most of my tests, which is going to be good for the direct positive process, because as the camera dactyl fella said, overexposing works best for it. I'm going to roll with a 1/4 of a second at f11, and what I'm going to do is the same exposure twice, but one of them I'm going to leave negative and the other one I'm going to do the direct positive process on, so it'll be an interesting little comparison. The camera is now set to mirror up with a 1/4 of a second at f11 on it. We have our frame. I'm going to actuate the shutter. Wait, that's, yes. Remove the dark slide. 1/4 of a second. Cool. Reinsert dark slide. Manually disengage. Lock. Manually disengage. Lock. This thing probably isn't particularly good for the RB, to be honest, because the more you muck around with these locks, the more likely they are to fail. Release mirror. Remove dark slide. Actuate shutter. Reinsert dark slide. Ta-da! And then just manually disengage the locks again. Manually disengaged. Okay. That way a bit more. A bit more towards me. There you go. Eyes towards me. There you go. That's nice. Okay. 1, 2, 3. She bright. One more. I hope this actually works. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Great success. Here goes nothing. This is going to be exposure number 1. Taking it out of the sheet film holder. Comme ça. Try not to get fingerprints on it. Chuck that in there. And observe magic. Oh, that looks stunning. That's the nicest one of the lot so far. To give you a further rundown of the direct positive process though, I'm not going to get too deep into it because it's not my process. I'm just doing something that someone else explained to me very well. So if you want to check that out, the Camera Dactyl channel, it's going to be linked below. Just look up direct positive from normal photo paper. But the gist of it is that you use an acid to destabilize the silver crystals that are already developed, then dissolve those with hydrogen peroxide, 12% hydrogen peroxide, and then alternate between those two until all of the blacks are gone. Then you refog the paper by turning the light on, which I'll show you as I do, and then develop it from that, and in doing that, all of the things that are already exposed will be gone, and that which wasn't exposed will be re-exposed, and since it's a negative, it'll turn into a positive. That is the gist of it. And the measurements of acid and peroxide that I'm using, I'm going to mention as well, I'm using tartric acid, not citric. I know the Camera Dactyl guy used citric, but I couldn't find citric, and tartric seems to be doing the job. And I use 1/2 teaspoon of tartric acid in a liter of water, and just straight 12% peroxide. I hope you can hear me down there. I'm recording the audio now with the iPhone in my pocket, but hopefully this somewhat works. I'm going to just bust out these pictures now. Hopefully I've told you a bunch of things downstairs about how this back actually works, and we'll just have a quick look at the sort of pictures we can get up here. I've actually been finding it quite fun playing around with making photographs as negatives with this back, so not necessarily even needing to invert them. I'm so sorry if the audio is terrible. We'll do a quick 1 second at f14. And we have a 1 second exposure at f4. Reinsert the dark slide with the red tab showing so that we know that we've shot that side. Disengage the dark slide locks manually on the RB dark slide thingies. And take another picture. And then I can get out of here and go record some proper audio. There's a cool picture there, but I don't want to stand underneath that wet tree. I did one tree, we'll do multiple trees now. Actuate Shutter 1, 2, 3. I don't know how much audio this phone picked up out there, but there were some suspicious noises going on in the distance, and this hill is somewhat known for bad things happening to people that come up here alone in the mist. So I'm gonna leave now, but I hope that was fun and that I got some cool pictures, and maybe I'll talk about them when I get home. I hope you enjoyed that. It was so much fun getting to make these direct positives. It's a really fun chemical process, and shooting onto photo paper is sort of the first analog process I ever learnt about in high school. My art teacher showed us how to make pinhole cameras and develop stuff, negatives out of the pictures that way. So it was fun to have a little callback to that. In terms of the way things look, the direct positives have a very retro look going for them. Not retro, retro is the wrong word, like vintage look going for them, sort of very old school, like wet collodion, daguerreotype, I don't know, that sort of process. Not exactly, obviously, but just, it looks vintage. And if you know anything about this process or other processes or have some feedback to give, please do let me know in the comments, politely, because there's no reason to get impolite in the comments. I'm very proud of how my comment sections go most of the time, especially on videos where I'm exploring things that there isn't much information about, like the 500mm lens. We had a lot of good information provided in that comment section, and I'd be honored if we could do the same here without getting mean towards anyone. I'll see you next week.